Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 12-team PPR mock draft on the second overall spot using FantasyPros Draft Wizard. The roster positions for today's mock are 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, flex, kicker, defense, and 6 bench spots. We're going to be drafting up against the expert consensus rankings from FantasyPros, as well as the composite ADP from ESPN, NFL, Sleeper, and RT Sports. I did make a slight adjustment on the position values from normal to slightly high in terms of the wide receiver position, because this year, unlike in prior seasons, wide receivers are going to be coming off the board at a fast and furious rate early on. The first 3-4 picks of your fantasy football draft could end up being wide receivers. But before we end up getting into this draft, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below while you're down there. Whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. So let's get into this mock. Now, if you know your draft pick, say a month in advance or even a couple of days in advance, you should have a 100% crystal clear idea of what you're going to do if you are pick 1 through 3. At pick number 1, I'm going Justin Jefferson. Pick number 2, I'm going Ja'Marr Chase. Pick number 3, I am going Christian McCaffrey. It is even more important to go with Justin Jefferson or Ja'Marr Chase with the 1 or 2 pick in a league like this, with 3 wide receivers and 1 flex spot, where a majority of the time, the way the league is set up, full PPR, you probably want to have 4 wide receivers playing at all time in your lineups. Now, you can make the argument still for Christian McCaffrey at the number 2 overall pick, but the good thing is when you're number 2 overall, you basically know exactly what's going to happen. A majority of the time, Justin Jefferson is going to go number 1 overall. If he doesn't, then you can select Justin Jefferson at the 102. If he obviously is gone, like in a majority of these drafts that we do, then you're just going to go with Ja'Marr Chase. There is a slight argument you can make for McCaffrey, but the tiebreaker here is the way the scoring settings are set up with full PPR and the fact that you could be playing 4 wide receivers every single week in your starting lineup. So we're going to go with Ja'Marr Chase here. Positive news for Ja'Marr Chase, not even for himself, right? He's been healthy this offseason. The biggest thing is that Joe Burrow is going to be good to go by week number 1. It doesn't really seem like there is going to be some major setback. Now, is he going to be fully 100% for week 1? I would say probably not. But I also don't think they're going to roll him out there at like 50%. He's probably close to like 85, 90%. And that's good enough for Ja'Marr Chase to have a really good week in week 1 and obviously continue producing amazing numbers all season long. He did end up getting hurt last year, but if he didn't get hurt, he probably would have easily finished as a top 3 wide receiver in fantasy. After Ja'Marr Chase, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, Bijan Robinson, Austin Eckler, Travis Kelce, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams. The second opens with CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Pat Mahomes, Tony Pollard, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Jalen Waddle away, waddle, till the very next day. So let me know in the comment section right now. Pause the video after I ask the question. I'm like fucking Dora asking a question to you guys right in the middle of the video. What team do you think Jonathan Taylor is going to go to? Do you think Jonathan Taylor gets traded? If you think he does, what team does he go to? I am still very nervous about Jonathan Taylor because you remember how Austin Eckler requested a trade and then he stuck with the Chargers? This seems like a situation where if the if the Colts don't find a suitor to trade Jonathan Taylor for at the value they believe they should get, then Jonathan Taylor might not show up. He might not play at all this season. Now, do I think that's a crazy move? Yes, but that is in the realm of possibility. So right now, I am staying clear away from Jonathan Taylor. The second he signs, my opinion will change, right? He could go to a team where his value increases to where, hey, I might take him in the first round, but he also might join a team where he might be hit by the running back by committee, where he might free fall plummet out of the second round of fantasy football drafts. So looking at the board right now, again, we took Ja'Marr Chase with the number 2 overall pick. Best players still available: Josh Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, Jahmyr Gibbs at running back. All quarterbacks aside from Mahomes are available, and all tight ends outside of Kelce are available. So for me, I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs here. It appears that Josh Jacobs is going to report to the Las Vegas Raiders camp before week number 1. Now, this is something that I've talked about ever since there was the rumors about him holding out, right? How he was going to hold out. I said he's probably just going to take a nice vacation, go to Turks and Caicos, go fucking drink some Coronas in Mexico or something like that, and then then he was going to show up by week number 1. He was going to take a nice vacation, didn't want to go to training camp, right? No need to put some extra tread on the tires, no need to worry about training camp, and then bada bing, bada boom, step inside the room, week number 1, he was going to be there and be the lead back, the workhorse back. And that appears what is going to be happening. Now, Josh Jacobs did delete a tweet talking about how maybe this is a little fugazi. We shall see. Right now, I am 99.999% sure that Josh Jacobs will be the workhorse running back for the Raiders come week 1. I don't need him to go to training camp to succeed. I think Josh Jacobs is going to be insane this year in fantasy football. Could finish as the RB1, and you're getting him at the end of the second round because people are scared to draft him. After Josh Jacobs, we got another Josh in Josh Allen, and then DK Metcalf. So the reason why I took Jacobs there over another wide receiver is because after Jacobs, there starts to be large question marks at running back. Now, if I had to draft Ramondre Stevenson right now, I don't know if I would want to. I read that the Patriots are going to use Zeke more than we want. Typical Bill Belichick bullshit, right? They found Ramondre Stevenson, this amazing running back, can catch passes, run the ball like Derek fucking Henry, but instead they are going to give us slow Ezekiel Elliott. I hate it so much. I worried about this. I feared about it, and it's coming true. I would need Ramondre to fall into the deep third, the early fourth to really feel comfortable drafting him right now, if I'm being completely honest. And now we can just dive into the wide receivers here. If we wanted Jalen Hurts, we could take him. But again, this league does heavily point towards us wanting to load up on wide receivers. And if Jacobs wasn't available, a wide receiver would have been our last pick. Probably not DK Metcalf, who was the most recent wide receiver to go. Probably would have went with Devontae Smith in that spot. But Devontae Smith is still here for us. The question that we have here at hand is, will Ridley fall back to us? Probably not. I have Ridley ranked ahead of Devontae Smith, Keenan Allen, and T. Higgins. It may look like a reach. I have taken Calvin Ridley, though, in like every single draft. I do talk about how you want to diversify your teams, so we're going to go a little bit different here. I do have Higgins, Ridley, and Smith ranked above Keenan Allen, but we're going to go with Keenan Allen this time. It really feels like everyone is kind of in almost mass hysteria against drafting Keenan Allen, and I don't even know if that's the correct word, right? I'm not a fucking genius, Albert Einstein, but everyone seems to be scared of Keenan Allen. Because, oh, he's getting older, and oh, he got hurt last year. Well, if you actually look at the last 5-6 years of his career, he has been the definition of health. He hasn't really missed a lot of games. I think this Chargers offense is going to be great. Justin Herbert, the pervert, is going to be healthy from week 1 on, right? He got injured last year. That really impacted him. So I think Keenan Allen's going to be a smash in the 3rd round. I get why people are nervous, right? They add Quentin Johnston to the equation, but I'm not too panicked. After Keenan Allen, Higgins, Jalen Hurts, Calvin Ridley, Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, Ramondre Stevenson, Joe Mixon, Mark Andrews in the late 3rd round. That is a wet dream. Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Debo Samuel, Lamar Jackson, Travis Etienne, Miles Sanders, DeAndre Hopkins, Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, and Wiki DJ Moore. Would have loved to get Jahmyr Gibbs in the 4th round. He really feels like if David Montgomery wasn't there, I think people might talk themselves into drafting Jahmyr Gibbs in the 2nd round, the early 2nd round. But obviously with David Montgomery there, it does kind of suppress a little bit of his value. Now, I love Justin Fields so much this season, but in the 4th round, I just can't do it. If he falls to us in the 5th round, I'll consider. But in the 4th round, that's a no. Tight end, I'm not really all that aboard the TJ Hawkinson bandwagon. Again, these running backs, I like Breece Hall. I love the player Breece Hall. I just worry about the fact that Dalvin Cook's there, so I'm staying away from him. So it's either Big Booty, Jerry Jeudy, Terry McLaurin, who's banged up. Appears that he could miss week 1. Now, there's always optimism, right? Optimism that he's going to play week 1. I hope so. Because it would suck for the turf toe to make him miss a couple of games, especially because Sam Howell was balling out of control in that game. So we're up on the clock here. I think the safest bet here is Christian Watson. That's who we are going to go with here. I love Christian Watson this season. So many positive reports out of camp that Jordan Love and Christian Watson are this connection like peanut butter and jelly. I am so excited about Christian Watson this season. A lot of people will think he's just a one-year wonder or something like that, but I think he is more than that. Remember when people discounted Amon-Ra St. Brown last season? Now, I'm not even saying that Christian Watson is as good as Amon-Ra St. Brown, but people are heavily discounting just how great this guy looked because, oh my God, it's Jordan Love, not Aaron Rodgers. Do you remember how shit Aaron Rodgers was in a lot of games last year? And Christian Watson was still feasting 5-star Michelin chef meals. After Watson, we see TJ Hawkinson as well as Dameon Pierce. Breece Hall, definitely interesting here in the 5th round. But again, this type of format reeks of having to draft and load up on wide receivers. Though Darren Waller is calling my names, he's whispering sweet nothings into my ear. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button down below if you have enjoyed. Man, oh man, oh man. I feel like Michael Pittman, Jahan Dotson are going to fall back to us in the next round. And I would be ecstatic to get one of those guys. So I think we are going to not draft one of these wide receivers here, even though I like so many of them, and go for Darren Waller. I have been talking up Darren Waller for months. If you are afraid of Darren Waller still, you are crazy. Darren Waller is and might legitimately be, besides Saquon, the focal point of this offense. He is definitely the focal point of this passing attack. Daniel Jones was force-feeding the ball down this guy's throat in that preseason game. We've heard so many reports out of training camp that this guy is making the defense look like fucking Deuce Vaughn, real little, right? Like Kyler Murray. He is dominating in the red zone. He's fucking backing them up and slam-a-jamming the ball on their face, NBA Jam style. I am all in on Darren Waller. But Nick, you remember the fact that he always gets hurt, right, Nick? Aren't you a little bit scared? Yeah, I would be scared if he was going in the 3rd round. He goes in the 5th round, right? Now, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I talk about this a ton. But early on in the draft, try to stay risk-averse. But Nick, you took Josh Jacobs. He's kind of risky. I don't think he's risky, right? Avoid the risk early on. Once you start getting the middle of the rounds, right? I don't think you win your league drafting like Dallas Goedert as your tight end. Like Dallas Goedert isn't going to be the reason why you win your league. Sure, he's safe, but he's not going to be why you win. Darren Waller might be the tight end one. Now, I'm not saying he will be, but I think he could be. And that in itself gives me the confidence, the hubris to draft Darren Waller in the 5th round. After Darren Waller, we see Rashad with 2A's White, Jerry Jeudy, Drizzy, Drake London, Terry McLaurin, Mike Dubb, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans, Brandon Ayuk, Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins, Justin Herbert the Pervert, Christian Kirk, Michael Pittman. That is a dagger to the chest for me. That one really, really hurts. Do you guys remember, is that book called like The Crucible, where they're back in the day, the Salem witch trials, and they put all those rocks on the guy's chest and they kill him that way? That's how it feels right now to me. There's just like a million rocks on my chest. That one really hurts. So after we don't get Michael Pittman, then it's George Kittle me Timbers, Justin Fields, Alvin Kamara, Tyler Lockett in my pocket skirt, Javonte Williams, Cam Akers, and Kyle Pitts. Back up on the clock here. Still some receivers I like though. If this injury continues to linger with Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson might be, if this guy misses a couple games, like a top 12 receiver in some of those games. Jahan Dotson looks locked in this year. Registers game high 76 receiving yards, 5 of 7. Chef's kiss. Now, again, I know, Nick, you always tell us not to overreact to preseason. I agree. But when I already like a player, and the preseason gives me more confidence, right? Jahan Dotson goes out there, he looks good. Sam Howell goes out there and looks like the second coming of Mahomes. Now, is Sam Howell really amazing? Probably not. But as long as he's not a complete and utter fucking garbage can like Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke last season, I wouldn't even wipe my ass with either of those guys. Jahan Dotson is in a really good situation. So we're going with Jahan Dotson here. 2nd year player, 1st round NFL draft caliber last season. I know it says, oh, it's a reach. I don't think it's a reach at all, man. I don't think it is a reach at all. After Jahan Dotson, James Conner, and Alexander Mattison. So this puts us in an interesting spot. We see that Trevor Lawrence is still available in the 7th round. Now, for me, Trevor Lawrence is like the last guy at the quarterback position where it's like, I feel 100% confident in them being good. Now, Watson, I really like. I really like Tua. I really like Daniel Jones. I really like Anthony Richardson. But do I feel as confident in those guys as I do with Lawrence? Of course not. Second year of Lawrence with the new head coach of Doug Peterson, who's a not-so-new head coach in the National Football League, obviously won the Super Bowl with 9-inch Nicholas Foles. And then they have Ridley, they've got Christian Kirk, they've got Zay Jones, they have Travis Etienne, they have Evan Ingram, they have Tank Bigsby. Loaded room. Defense, kind of suspect, kind of mid. So they're going to have to throw a lot. That's positive for T-Law. The question is, would T-Law actually be available here in the 7th round of a lot of drafts? Now, I think in your more sharp drafts where players are a little bit more nervous to draft quarterbacks, I think it is possible. In your more casual leagues, Lawrence might be like a 5th round pick. So we are not going to take Lawrence here because I think it is unrealistic. But if this was a real draft, right? If I have however much your buy-in is, maybe it's free, right? Or 25, 50, 100, 200, 500, $7 gazillion, right? I would draft Lawrence here. But we're trying to simulate something that is at least somewhat realistic. And I think in a majority of drafts, this is not very realistic, so we aren't going to go with him. So the question here is, do we go running back or do we go for another receiver, right? Because Jamar, Allen, definitely locked into the lineup every single week, right? Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen. Watson, kind of risky, but I love him. Obviously, I'd play all these guys week 1 in this order over any of these guys that are available. But the question is, do we want a running back here or do we believe we could wait? So the receivers, I love Addison. Jackson Smith in the Jigba is a little bit worrisome now because he did end up having to get surgery on his wrist. He was cranking off too much, clearly. 3 to 4 week timeline, not the best, obviously. So I feel a little bit more comfortable with the late round receivers compared to the running backs because this is a guy I have to play in my lineup, right? Since we went Waller earlier, this running back has to play in our lineup, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So we got Jacobs, and then we're going to have one of these guys. James Cook, David Montgomery, Swift, Pacheco, Dalvin Cook. James Cook is a great pick here, but in the back of my head, if I had my real draft today, as you guys are watching, Jonathan Taylor has a legitimate chance to show up to the Buffalo Bills and screw everything up, right? With the 5-knuckle shuffle, right? He could do that. Is that going to happen to Detroit? No. Is that going to happen to Philly? Probably not, right? You never know, though, because they seem to love running backs. Pacheco, yes, that could happen too. Jonathan Taylor could be a Chief. Now, he should be a Chief, but they took Clyde Edwards-Helaire instead of him, which is hilarious. Imagine how much better the Chiefs would be with Jonathan Taylor. It would almost be unfair, honestly, so I'm glad he isn't there. So the question is, do we want to take that risk? To be honest, I have Montgomery ranked ahead of James Cook, so I'm just going to go with Montgomery. I know, Nick, he's the number 2. James Cook's the number 1 back on his team. Well, Dave Montgomery's still going to get touches. He's going to get a lot of goal line work. He's going to catch some balls, run the rock. He's on the Lions. I know, the Lions, gross, but this is not the old, gross Lions team. This is a great Lions team that I think is going to be ferocious like the animal themselves this season. Pretty solid offensive line as well. So big fan of Montgomery this year. After him, Burks, Cook. Cook's ADP is pretty stagnant. I really thought he was going to start, moving up a little. The 7th round's a fair price for him. He was originally going like the 8th or 9th round. For some reason, like people just didn't know what team he'd go to. It seemed like it was always going to be the Jets, but then when he didn't sign that contract, I started to think it wasn't going to be the Jets, but he's on the Jets. Trevor Lawrence, Dallas Goedert, George Pickens, Hollywood Brown. Now, I'm starting to get a little higher on Pickens. Now, not fully to where I think he's going to outscore Deontay Johnson, but I do like him a little bit more now, knowing how good Kenny Pickett has looked. After that, Juju Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown, Jackson Smith-Njigba, James Cook, let him cook, DeAndre Swift, Jordan Addison-Ray, Cortland Sutton, Dickie Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, Gabe Davis, Isaiah Pacheco, Antonio Gibson, Deshaun Watson. Now, I thought about this a couple of days ago. I think in a lot more casual leagues, Rodgers might end up being like a 5th round pick, even though he's ranked so low, because everyone knows who Rodgers is, right? Even if most casual fans know who Dak, Watson are, right? But everyone knows who Rodgers is. Even though he's, a little bit over the age clip, everyone kind of knows who he is. Now, the question here is, how long do we wait at quarterback? Because every other team has quarterback except for us. We know damn well in real leagues, even if someone takes a quarterback early, there's a chance in the 9th or 10th round, if they fill out the regular roster, they draft another quarterback. So I'm going to pass on Tua here, hope to get him in the 10th round, but it is a little risky. It's a little risky. So since we kind of hit receiver rapidly early on, I think it would make the most sense to go running back here and then kind of just hope one of these receivers that we like falls to us. We are going to go with Khalil Herbert here. He's kind of a no-brainer pick for me. I think he's the clear lead back on Chicago. Everything that we've seen shows that. He caught a touchdown pass in the first preseason game. I like Khalil Herbert a ton. I think Khalil Herbert is one of the safest picks late in drafts at running back, but he's also a guy that is in danger, stranger danger, of Jonathan Taylor showing up there. After Herbert, we see Odell Beckham Jr. and the San Francisco 49ers defense. Now, I see a lot of comments that say, Nick, why do you draft with defenses and kickers in these mock drafts? My league doesn't have defense or kickers. Well, while I don't think your league needs kickers because kickers are way more random than defenses, a lot of leagues play with kickers and defenses. I had this debate with my friends. One of our leagues, we have no kicker. Another league I'm in, we have a kicker. I fucking hate kickers so much. I hate losing my week because I have a worse kicker than my opponent. It is a part of the game. A lot of people play with it, so that's why I include them in these drafts. And you know damn well if you're playing against people, when there's defenses, someone's going to take a defense in like the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round, right? There's going to be multiple defenses gone before you get to actually pick yours at the end of the draft, like a logical person. Back up on the clock here, Jacobs, Montgomery, Chase, Allen, Watson, Waller, Dotson, Khalil Herbert on the squad. We are going to go receiver here, and the question is, do we want to go with safety versus upside? The safe pick here is Elijah Moore. We know his, shut up and know your role. We know his role in this offense. Zay Flowers could be the receiver 3, could be the receiver 1, right? And on a week-to-week basis, I think Moore is a lot safer to throw into the lineup, but Flowers pops more. Same thing with Sky Moore versus Elijah Moore, the battle of the Moors, right? I think Sky Moore on a week-to-week basis going to be a little bit risky, but when he hits, he's going to be hitting that thing from the fucking back all night long, and he's going to have some huge games. We're going to go with the safety, though, of Elijah Moore. Like the gadget usage, expected to be a huge part of the offense, let me tell you. I wish I could do that accent a little bit, or the voice impersonation a little bit better, but that was kind of funny, I think. Maybe some of you won't find that funny, but I thought it was funny at least, so I'll give that to myself. So after we went with Elijah Moore, we see Brian Robinson, Zay Flowers, Jerick McKinnon, Sky with 2 Ys, Moore, A.J. Dillon, Rashad Master, Bateman, Jacoby Myers, Kadarius Toney, Samaj A.P. Ryan, Quentin Johnston, Rondale Moore, Jameson Williams, Allen Lazard, Zeke, Evan Ingram, Jamal with 2 A's, Williams, Philadelphia Eagles, Tank, Bigsby, Nico Collins, and Rashad with 2 A's. Penny up on the clock here. I would love to wait for the 11th for Tua. I know damn well if I waited in a real league, someone was bound to take him. We're going with Tua. But Nick, aren't you worried about Tua's concussions? But Nick, aren't you scared that Tua's injury prone? I would be scared, again, if it was in the 3rd round. It's not. It's in the 10th round. Tua has the upside to be an upper echelon quarterback in fantasy. Sure, he doesn't have crazy rushing upside. He can rush. I hope to the football gods that he doesn't run because of the concussion shit. As a Dolphins fan, that scares me. I'm wearing a Dolphins hat right now. I don't know how much you guys can tell. Dolphins hat is gray. Very stylish, very sleek, very cool, very modern. Yeah, he's kind of risky. But with Tua, you draft him so late, you could draft a second quarterback. Now, I'm not going to draft back-to-back quarterbacks, Kobe championship style, but we got Tua. After Tua, Jeff Wilson, DJ Chark, DJ Chark. Running backs, receivers, best available players here. 1, 2, 3 running backs on the squad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers. Best pick here would be to go running back. Zach Charbonnet fell to us, and I would fall down to my knees in a real draft if he fell to us. Zach Charbonnet is one of the biggest late-round running back targets for me. If something happens to Kenneth Walker, there's a legitimate argument to make that Zach Charbonnet could be a top-end running back that week without Walker. And if Walker misses a serious amount of time, knock on wood, we don't refer injuries, Walker would be amazing. Not Walker would be amazing. Obviously, that would suck for him. Charbonnet would be amazing. And even if Walker is playing, I think Charbonnet is going to see enough volume where if you were in a real pickle, you could play him. Obviously, it wouldn't be ideal. But if push came to shove, right, your running backs got fucking ran over by a truck, right, and they're really bad, they're hurt, then you could definitely talk yourself into playing him. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be great, but There's a lot worse options, right? I'd definitely rather start him in any given week over like Devin Singletary or something like that. So after we went with Zach Charbonnet, Zay Jones came off the board, followed by Pat Fryermuth, Dalton Kincaid, Romeo Dobbs, Buffalo Bills, Chig, Darnell Mooney, Devin A-Chain, Devin 2 Chains, David Njoku, the Chief, Tyler, yeah, Boyd, Michael Gallup, Damian Harris, Adam Thielen, Tyler Algier, Raheem Mostert, KJ Osborne, Elijah Mitchell, Jonathan Mingo, Kendre Miller, and Jalen Warren. The suggestion is to take Danny Dimes. I actually don't think that's all that crazy to do, knowing Tua's injury history, but I really like Tua's schedule early on in the season. I think he's going to cut the Chargers up, slice and dice them, fucking Fruit Ninja style. I don't know. I think if we take another quarterback, it's going to be Anthony Richardson. So we're going to wait even further because there's no way. A lot of casual fans, they ain't drafting Anthony Richardson. He's a rookie. He can't throw the ball, right? That's what they'll say. So we're back up on the clock here. We don't need another tight end because we took Waller so early. If we have to, obviously Waller gets hurt or something, we would just pick someone up off the waiver wire. Again, knock on wood, no roof for injuries. Back up on the clock here. We are going to go for Van Jefferson here. Van Jefferson seems like a decent late round target, right? The Rams are just devoid of talent at the receiver position outside of Cooper Kupp, so Van Jefferson's kind of just going to fall ass backwards into targets. Plus, he's a deep down the field threat with high upside because, hey, some games, obviously in the 12th round, right, you're not looking for safety. But hey, some games going to be really bad, but some games going to catch that bomb, that missile from Matthew Stafford and get like 100 yards in a game, maybe 2 touchdowns. So big fan of Van Jefferson late. After that, Devin Singletary and Hollywood Brown, or not Hollywood Brown, Marquise Valdes-Scantling. Sorry about that. I don't know why I thought that said Hollywood Brown. He goes way early in drafts. He goes right here at the 708. I actually think the Rams defense is going to be a lot worse this year, and that points towards them having to throw the ball more. We're going to close out here with 1, 2. We only have 4 running backs, so we definitely need another running back before we skedaddle our way out of here. We are going to go with Kenny Gainwell. Now, do I believe the reports about Gainwell maybe being the RB1 on the Eagles? No. But do I believe that this is just way more of a committee, right? And maybe Kenneth Gainwell is an injury away from some serious workload. Yes, in an Eagles offense that is going to be tremendous, stupendous, one of the best offenses in the NFL, one of the best offensive lines. Yes, I do believe that. So then that itself is worthy of the pick. I think if you're drafting Kenneth Gainwell right now and assuming he's going to be the not the workhorse, but like the lead back, getting the most amount of snaps week 1, I think you're a little bit crazy for thinking that. After Kenneth Gainwell, Kirk O'Chains, Dalton Schultz, Cole Kmet, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Deuce Vaughn, a.k.a. Wee Man, Donta Foreman, Geno Smith, Anthony Richardson, Dallas Cowboys, Tyler Higbee, Johnson, Hubbard, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who we kind of shit on early on, but he deserves it, Greg Dulcich, Jerome Ford, Jalen Hyatt, Zamir White, Tank Dell, Gus Bus Edwards, and Jawan Johnson. So we didn't end up getting Anthony Richardson. So if we're being honest with you, I probably wouldn't draft a backup quarterback in this situation. If I was, it would probably be Jared Goff in this scenario. I actually think the higher upside pick is not Goff. It's actually big cock Brock Purdy. Daniel Jones would not be here. I'm just being completely honest with you. That's why I'm not taking him. He would not be here. Otherwise, he'd be like a no-brainer pick. I am not into drafting 2 quarterbacks, but I get why you might want to do it with Tua. If Richardson was here, I definitely would have been rubbing my hands together like this, plotting about taking him like a fucking evildoer in a movie. Oh, man, I don't really want to take another quarterback if I'm being completely honest with you. I'm fine rocking with Tua, but something to understand, like while I am very anti-2 quarterback teams, if you're in a 12-team league and everyone takes 2 quarterbacks, you're almost strangleholded into doing it. Because if you don't do it, I guess it's not as bad in a 12-team league because then you could still get like maybe Sam Howell off the waiver wire or something. But in reality, you probably would rather just have a second quarterback and then just have to have them sit on your fucking bench. It's super annoying. Super annoying. In a 14-team league, it's basically a must to draft 2, in my opinion. So we're back up on the clock here. Going to go wide receiver and then skedaddle our way out of here. I like to go with a different player at the end every single time, right? Just kind of taking a shot on upside, not really looking for anything super safe back here. Like, there's no reason until your 14th round pick, wrap a condom around your team taking them. We're going to go with Marvin Mimsy of the Denver Broncos. Tim Patrick gets hurt, so that really helps Marvin Mims eventually get more work on his team. So many positive reports about Sutton. I like Judy. I don't know how likely it is that you will actually want to start Marvin Mims early on in the season, but he is a guy that you can hold, right? We all know rookie wide receivers late on in the season just have so much more value. So Marvin Mims can end up being a league winner that you draft super late, especially if something happens to Sutton or Jerry Jeudy, knock on wood, whenever for injuries, and maybe Sean Payton fucking unlocks what was a terrible offense under Nathaniel Hackett. After Marvin Mims, we see Leonard Fournette, Hunter Renfrow. If Jonathan Taylor is traded, I legitimately think Leonard Fournette is like one of the greatest picks in fantasy because he's going to end up as a Colt. Like, I know there's other running backs on the Colts that they have. None of those motherfuckers are going to be the starter. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'd be shocked if that was the case. So we are going to close the draft out with a kicker and a defense. Going to go with Tyler Bass this time. Again, pick your poison at kicker. In reality, in your regular draft, right, I highly doubt those great kickers would still be available at that spot because there's always the asshole who takes a kicker super early. Then we go defense. I think the Steelers are playing the Bengals week 1. Could I be correct about that? No, they're playing the Niners. That's gross. We're going to go with the left hands up. Who are we? The Commanders against the Arizona Cardinals week 1. Again, for defenses, you just want to stream them every single week. You want to draft a defense, playing a not-so-hot opponent week 1. If they got a tough matchup week 2, they say, bye-bye, pal. You cut them right off of your roster. Snip them like a vasectomy. So we got a B+, 87 out of 100. I love this team. But hey, it is what it is. Let's see which Fantasy Pros experts liked us. Actually, it doesn't fucking matter what they think, baby, because I love this team. I sounded like... Is that The Rock that does that? It doesn't matter, or whatever. So, sorry about that. So our team, quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, running backs, Josh Jacobs and David Montgomery, receivers are loaded. Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen, Christian Watson, Darren Waller at tight end. Our flex is Jahan Dotson. Left hand up, who are we? The Commanders defense. Kicker, Tyler Bass. Bench, Khalil Herbert, Elijah Moore, Zach Charbonnet, Van Jefferson, Kenneth Gainwell, and Marvin Mims. Again, let me know down below in the comments if you haven't already. Which team is Jonathan Taylor going to? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you guys click on one of the videos that's on your screen right now. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Love you guys all so much. Hope you have a great one. See you guys later with another video. Good boy.